Today we're gonna make creamy New York Deli-Style rice pudding. Here are all the ingredients. Let's get into it right now. So I always like to go over the ingredients. It helps me, but more importantly, it's about helping you. This is the best, creamiest, most delicious rice pudding in the world. Do not be deterred by these proportions here. There is 8.5 cups of liquid and 1 cup of rice, okay? It's an 8.5 to 1 ratio. You're probably thinking to yourself, that's going to be soup. You're thinking wrong. I'm not kidding, it will be perfect, but it's how you cook it, and I'm gonna show you that today. We have 5 cups of water. We have 3 cups of milk. We're gonna cook that with 1 cup of medium grain white rice. That is the best rice you can use. It has the most starch you're gonna be able to pull out of it. It's gonna make the best rice pudding ever. Please use medium grain white rice. It's easy to find, you can buy it anywhere. We have an extra ½ cup of milk, and that's gonna be used when we temper our egg in at the end, after we extract the maximum amount of starch from our rice and get it creamy. The egg is gonna kind of like bind it all together. What are the other ingredients? We have a ½ cup of sugar. Many people have made this one already, like many people, thousands of people. So we've had a lot of comments. I would say a good amount said that it needed to be a little sweeter. You can absolutely increase sugar here. I think it's perfect with a ½ cup of sugar. A ½ cup of raisins is also going to add some sweetness. If you take the raisins out, you might want to increase the sugar by a tablespoon. It's as simple as that. This isn't complicated. The only complicated thing here is how to cook this rice and the liquids together and not get soup. We also have that 1 egg that's going to be tempered at the end. We have 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. We have a pinch of salt. Just a pinch of salt is going to bring out the flavor of our vanilla, and everything else make it a little bit more, potent. And then we have this 1 tablespoon of butter. Cinnamon for the end. I recommend you don't put the cinnamon in during the cooking process. It's going to turn your rice pudding brown. And I actually like the cinnamon on top for a nice color contrast, nice design. You can also put a cherry on top at the end, which if you've been to a New York deli, you know that they will keep it in their case in a large tray, and then they will normally crisscross the cinnamon and they'll put a few cherries on top of it. That's the rice pudding we're making today, the best rice pudding in the world. This has confused people, some people. I think a lot of it is you've been taught that rice is always cooked with a 2 to 1 ratio. Normally with risotto, you're about a 4 to 1 ratio, about 5, sometimes 5 to 1. By the way, you can use risotto rice for this too, which would be great as well. I put the 5 cups of water in here. I'm also putting 3 cups of whole milk. I'm using whole milk here. ½ cup of sugar, pinch of salt. Okay, that's fine sea salt, just a pinch, doesn't matter what type of salt. And then here's 1 cup of medium grain white rice. Do not rinse this rice. Please do not rinse this rice, okay? We want the starch from it, all right? I'm gonna turn this to a 4 out of 10, okay? 4 to 5 out of 10, basically medium heat. I'm gonna start my timer now. We're gonna start the clock, and we're just gonna let it go, and we're gonna see how long this takes. So, depending on how long you cook it, you're not gonna get good results if you're under about 55 minutes. But it can easily take 1 hour and 10, hour and 15 minutes. I'm using a non-stick pot, 8-quart pot, and then I have just a rubber spatula, or silicone spatula. The reason I'm using 5 cups water and 3 cups milk, though you could use all 8 cups milk, is I don't want to scorch this, and we're cooking it at low heat to further prevent it not scorching. If you scorch your milk, you start burning your milk, you're gonna get brown spots in this pot. It's not the worst thing in the world, but as long as you do it this way and cook it low and slow, it's fine. We want to bring this to a simmer, okay? Once it starts bubbling, it's going to take about 20 to 25 minutes. I want you to stir fairly often, all right? There is a little bit of labor here for this, but you will be well rewarded with the best rice pudding.
I made this the other day because I wanted to test the recipe, and it took me 1 hour and 7 minutes.
Can you tell people why you tested the recipe? We put this on our site. We had a lot of comments, even before even 1 hour has elapsed, so it was impossible for people to make the recipe, and we had a lot of comments push back immediately about the proportions, right, Tara?
Yeah, I think a lot of people were just questioning the ratio of liquid to rice, and we knew that we had tested it multiple times, but I just wanted to do it one more following everything that you had, step by step, and I wanted to time how long it took.
Yeah, and you got 1 hour and 7 minutes.
Yeah, and it was perfect.
We will come back here once it starts bubbling. Okay, so look at it. It's bubbling a little bit right now. It's 18 minutes. Everything's working right according to schedule. So now all you have to do, remember, I've just been stirring this pretty consistently. I know you might be saying like, oh, okay, well, this is, too much. But, you get a lot of rice pudding out of this and it's not that much work. I'm gonna turn the heat now to low. So that's about a 2, 3 out of 10 on your burner. Depending on how low you get it, it's gonna take about another 25 to 45 minutes here. What you can do now when it's on very low heat, you're not gonna have to stir it as much, but every couple minutes just come over and do it. What this is gonna do is this very slow cooking is gonna pull out all the starch. It's gonna make the most creamy rice pudding you've ever had. And because we're using medium grain rice, even after this cooking, the rice kernels are still gonna maintain texture and their consistency. Can you make it with other rice? You can. Okay, I mean, honestly, if I was to pick another rice, it would be risotto rice, arborio rice. Okay, 35 minutes has elapsed. This is what it looks like. We've had some evaporation. We're cooking very slow. You can start to see some of the rice here, like this. Jim, it's soup. It's because it's not done yet, all right? Just continue to cook it. And you don't have to stir as much now because now you're on lower heat. Your risk of burning now is minimal. You're just gonna stir probably every couple minutes. Okay, so here's 50 minutes. You can see right now how it's starting to thicken up a little bit, but there's still plenty of liquid in here. Do not worry, do not be deterred. I guarantee you it's going to work. Maybe it'll be 109 instead of 108, but we'll be all right. That's continuing to cook. It's at the 58-minute mark. I'm just gonna add 1 egg here into this milk. And just break it up and beat it completely. Okay, just make sure it's combined, and I'll just let this sit until we need it. 105. Right at the end is when it really plays catch up. It gets much thicker here. If yours is a lot liquidy at this point, just let it go another 10 minutes. That's all you have to do. This isn't a problem if you take your time with it. It's if you rush it, then it's gonna be different. So here's our egg and milk from before. And you can take a little spoon here, just a spoon worth of it, and just add it right in there. Okay, just a little bit at a time. Now what that's gonna do is you're tempering this. So tempering means you're gonna just raise the temperature here on this slowly without beating the egg, like basically getting scrambled eggs. Okay, we just wanna get this temperature here close to this temperature here. So just a little bit at a time. Use a bigger spoon than this if you want, and so you don't make a mess. And when it gets a little bit more, then you can take a little bit more and then just add that in. So now if I was to touch this, stick my hand in there, this is warm, okay? That's what we want to do. Then we're gonna add that tempered liquid right back in here and then stir it right away so we don't get scrambled eggs, and then the temperature and everything will be fine. Now the egg is gonna help thicken it a little bit. It's gonna bring everything together. It's gonna make it creamier. And then we can also add our raisins in. Now look, if you don't like the raisins, you don't have to do it. I love them in this, but there are a good contingent of people that don't like them in rice pudding. So, I want you to do what you like. That was a ½ cup, and then this is 2 teaspoons of vanilla. But you can see right now, after that tempering, getting a lot thicker. It's gonna keep thickening now as we cook it for a few more minutes. What I like to do is, and I'm gonna do this to show you, I'm gonna keep one warm, out, and then I'll put one in the refrigerator and we'll eat it probably in an hour with the taste tester. He likes it cold, I prefer it cold, but I'll keep one out so you can see how it is warm. Okay, I'm gonna let this cook for a few more minutes like this. 1 hour and 12 minutes, I'm gonna turn it off. I hope I didn't thicken it up too much. Let's get this off the heat, and then I have 1 tablespoon of butter. So I already tasted it a few times. It's absolutely delicious. Now, again, if you like it a little bit sweeter, fool around with this. After you make 1 batch of this, you can just next time do maybe like a ½ cup plus 1 tablespoon. Maybe you could do a ½ cup plus 2 tablespoons. There's 8 tablespoons in a ½ cup. So if you add 1 more tablespoon to it, you're gonna be increasing it by about 12%, the sugariness of it. This is steaming hot right now. Even like this, you'll see it's very much stuck to the spoon. When you let this sit, we'll let this sit for even 10 minutes and it'll still be very warm. It's gonna thicken up tremendously. But I like to put this into a dish, how they do it in delis, a little cinnamon on top in the refrigerator, and then we'll have the taste tester try that. James, you were just saying what, the pattern you like?
Yeah, it's cool.
This is warm. This one has been about in the fridge for about an hour.
I always like colder than warm.
I like room temperature rice pudding.
You do?
Really?
Yeah.
I like really cold, like Cozy Shack.
You can't do a rice pudding video without mentioning Cozy Shack.
It's so good.
That's the warm one.
I'll try it first. All right, now the cold one.
It's not going to be really cold. It's been about an hour. It needs about 3 hours.
It's actually not cold, really.
I recommend to everybody you have it cold.
I'm not the biggest fan of it like this. It's still really good, but when it's cold, I love it. It's 10 out of 10.
The main goal of this video was just to show you like the milk, all that ratio. It's there, the milk and the water, the 8.5 cups. You're gonna get something really creamy, and it'll be creamy overnight. Say you're worried and you cook it a little too long, like which this one might have been a few minutes too long. You can just loosen it up again with a little bit of milk. You know, quarter cup of milk. Some people will do different versions where they'll do far less and then they'll mix in evaporated milk or condensed milk at the end. But this one, as long as you cook it enough, you're good. I mean, I wouldn't put in like a thing of soup in the fridge. Originally, when I did this recipe, I did 6 cups, and it just came out like a brick the next day.
I remember that. We had to pour a ton of milk on it.
Yeah, and that was 6. And it almost like got to the point where it's so hard that even the milk wouldn't even loosen it up. Super simple video. Hope you make it. Hope you enjoy it. Give it that hour to an hour and 20 minutes, and you'll be set. Wow, James. I don't know if you're going to be able to eat dinner now.
I'll be good.
Okay. We'll see you next time.